As he stepped out of the transcendental transportation tube, Harrison noticed the eerie silence that filled the arrivals lobby of the Galactic Central Station. The usually bustling hub was now desolate, with only a few scattered passengers milling about. The automated announcements, typically a constant presence, were absent, replaced by an unsettling stillness. His journey from Andromeda 5 had been long and uneventful, but the lack of activity here was unsettling. Harrison's eyes scanned the area, searching for some indication of what was amiss. That was when he spotted the message scrolling across the main view screen. Temporal anomaly alert. Time stream integrity compromised. A chill ran down his spine as he wondered what kind of chaos this anomaly might have unleashed. The last thing he remembered was the routine temporal synchronization procedure before boarding the transport. Had something gone wrong during the jump? The silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, dressed in a worn, crimson jumpsuit. "Welcome, traveler," the stranger said, his voice low and gravelly. "You're just in time for the main event. The fabric of reality is unraveling, and we're all just along for the ride." Harrison's instincts screamed warnings, but his curiosity was piqued. "What do you mean? What's happening?" The stranger's eyes gleamed with a knowing intensity as he nodded towards the view screen. "The anomalies causing temporal echoes to bleed into our reality. You're lucky to be here, Harrison. Most people aren't as fortunate. They're stuck in the loops, reliving the same moment forever." Harrison's mind reeled as he tried to comprehend the implications. Temporal echoes? Loops? This was beyond anything he'd learned in his temporal physics classes. "What can we do?" he asked, feeling a sense of desperation creeping in. The stranger's smile was mirthless. "We can try to find the source of the anomaly. Maybe, just maybe, we can fix it before the whole fabric of time unravels." He turned to leave, beckoning Harrison to follow. "Come on, we don't have much time. The longer we wait, the more unstable the timeline becomes." As they navigated the deserted corridors, Harrison noticed strange, flickering apparitions appearing and disappearing around them. Echoes, he assumed, fragments of other realities bleeding into their own. His companion led him to a restricted access area, sealed off with a warning sign that read, "Authorized personnel only, Temporal Research Division." The stranger produced a worn, silver badge, and the security lock disengaged with a hiss. "Welcome to the belly of the beast, Harrison. This is where the scientists who created this mess are hiding." As they entered the research facility, Harrison was struck by the eerie stillness. Equipment hummed softly, but there was no sign of the scientists or technicians who should have been working here. The air was heavy with the scent of burned coffee and stale air. The stranger moved with purpose, navigating the deserted labs and offices. Harrison followed, his heart pounding in his chest. They finally stopped in front of a heavily reinforced door with a sign that read, "Project Kronos, authorized personnel only." The stranger produced another badge, and the door slid open with a hiss. Inside, Harrison found himself in a cramped control room, surrounded by rows of monitoring stations and mainframe terminals. In the center of the room, a massive, circular console dominated the space, its screens flashing with frantic warnings. A disheveled figure, wearing a stained lab coat, slumped over the console, his eyes fixed on the screens with a mix of horror and fascination. Harrison recognized the look. It was the same expression he'd seen on the faces of addicts in the darker corners of the galaxy. "Dr. Alara Vex," the stranger said, his voice devoid of emotion. "The architect of this mess." Dr. Vex didn't respond, too entranced by the chaos unfolding on the screens. Harrison approached her, feeling a sense of trepidation. The console screens displayed a maelstrom of timelines, swirling around each other like a vortex. "What have you done, Doctor?" Harrison asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Dr. Vex's gaze didn't waver. "I've changed the fabric of reality," she whispered, a mad glint in her eye. "I've given humanity a gift, a chance to relive their greatest moments, to correct past mistakes." The stranger intervened, his voice cold. You've created a catastrophe, Doctor. A temporal singularity that's devouring our reality. Harrison felt the room spinning around him. He had to get out, had to find a way to stop this madness before it was too late. But as he turned to leave, he realized that the door was no longer there. The room had changed, the walls shifting like a kaleidoscope. The anomaly was closing in, warping reality itself. The room blurred and rippled, like a reflection on disturbed water. Harrison stumbled, his sense of direction lost. The stranger's hand grasped his arm, pulling him forward. "Stay close. We need to find a way out of this temporal eddy." Dr. Vex's maniacal laughter echoed through the shifting space. "You can't escape. The chronostream is collapsing. We'll be trapped in the loops forever." As they navigated the distorting room, Harrison glimpsed fragments of different realities. A flash of a desolate, post-apocalyptic wasteland. A flicker of a gleaming, utopian city. The echoes swirled around them, attracting the attention of creatures from other dimensions. A swarm of iridescent, insect-like beings flitted around them, their wings humming with an otherworldly energy. The stranger produced a small, crystal orb from his pocket and held it up. The creatures recoiled, repelled by the artifact's power. "This won't last," the stranger warned. "We need to find a way to synchronize with the primary timeline." Harrison's mind reeled as they pushed through the distorted space. They stumbled into a narrow, winding tunnel, the walls pulsing with a sickly, green light. The air was heavy with the stench of ozone and burned wiring. A holographic display flickered to life above their heads, displaying a cryptic message. "Temporal Integrity Commission. Warning. Reality failure imminent. Please evacuate to nearest safe zone." The stranger quickened their pace, dragging Harrison through the twisting tunnel. They burst into a large, domed chamber, the ceiling lost in darkness. A sleek, silver vessel, emblazoned with the TIC emblem, dominated the room. Their escape route, perhaps? But as they approached the ship, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman, her features shifting like a kaleidoscope, her eyes blazing with an inner power. "Welcome, travelers," she said, her voice a symphony of conflicting harmonies. "I am the temporal arbiter, and you, Harrison, are the key to restoring balance to the chronostream." The temporal arbiter's gaze seemed to pierce through Harrison, as if she could see the very fabric of his being. "You possess a unique resonance, a harmonic frequency that can synchronize with the primary timeline." The stranger stepped forward, a hint of warning in his tone. "Be careful, Arbiter. We don't know what kind of power we're dealing with here." The Arbiter's smile was enigmatic. "Fear not, stranger. I have the chronostream's best interests at heart. Harrison, come with me, and I'll show you the true nature of the anomaly." Harrison hesitated, unsure if he should trust the Arbiter. But the stranger's warning had come too late. The Arbiter's gaze had already drawn him in, like a moth to a flame. As they boarded the silver vessel, Harrison felt a strange energy building within him. The ship's systems hummed to life, and the Arbiter's hands danced across the console, weaving a complex pattern of temporal harmonics. The stranger remained on the periphery, watching with an intensity that bordered on suspicion. Dr. Vex, the creator of the anomaly, lingered in the shadows, her eyes fixed on Harrison with an unnerving intensity. The ship hurtled through the distorted fabric of time, the chronostream's tendrils snapping and reforming around them. Harrison's mind reeled as the Arbiter guided him through the labyrinthine paths of the time stream. They burst into a realm of pure chaos, where events from disparate eras converged. Roman legionnaires clashed with cybernetic warriors. Ancient dragons soared through skies filled with starships. The anomaly's power was intoxicating, and Harrison felt himself becoming one with the chronostream. "Behold, Harrison," the Arbiter whispered, her voice a symphony of echoes. "The infinite possibilities of the multiverse. You have the power to reshape reality itself." The stranger's warning echoed in his mind, but it was too late. Harrison had become a pawn in a game of cosmic proportions, with the fate of the time stream hanging in the balance.